that was the risk that was accepted by the contractor, and this was transferred, that was the procurement risk, the mental procurement risk, that was transferred to the client. That was the financial risk that the contractor could have incurred due to the changes in the fluctuations in the currency.
Good. Third question, which is a common question.
Between 0.5 to 0.9, as well as the lines of each of the ownership is decided. And post-bid is the performance criteria. The performance criteria which the customer judges the bidders may not be similar. That is performance criteria like in post-bid discussion, generally the system or the methodology which we implement may be different, but the outcome what client desires would be same. So that is clarified, and based on that the revisions in the price.
Are you telling that for the changing your bid price?
No, not bid price, but the within that stipulated.
What you have used is pre-bid and post-bid.
Right.
Pre-bid you have explained. What is post-bid? Scope clarity, post-bid.
Post-bid scope clarity. So the performance criteria.
That was the wording, if I am not wrong.
Yes. The performance criteria on which we have the contractor has shortlisted the bidder that are defined. Sir, for example, to give an example, in this case, the pre-bid would be the general expectations of the client that we can expect. But after the bidding, the post-bid situation would be like after analyzing this data, if the L&D would have come to know that this data is harder than that was analyzed earlier. So in that case, the time we could able to reduce because of the increase in the blasting intensity. That was also accepted by the client. That could happen.
Second question. This is a acquisition project, 36 months of product. Now, you are the risk manager for this project. Okay. And see, today we are looking at the project after it has happened, given a case and things like that. But when you actually try to execute do a job, you do not know what is going to come. So, as a risk manager of this project, you are the risk manager. What kind of a process you would like to institute to really track and monitor the risks?
So in ongoing projects also, we use this similar framework, but in and the assessment of the risk would be quarterly done, and each time the risk assessment will be done. While we have identified the already done risks, in that same framework, the proposed risk or the possible risk, current risk, and already mitigated risk, those will be incorporated. And as and when each quarter the new risk assessment plan gets executed, risk assessment is done, the previous mitigated risks are analyzed as well as the new are proposed, and whichever are the proposed or the expected risks that will be conveyed to the project manager, and more emphasis on focus from the project management team on those mitigating those risks will be prepared.
Okay, very good.
Okay, so let's just we will have a break of 5 minutes.
Good evening, everyone. We are team from IIM-K. Myself, Ankit Shah, and my teammate Mr. Suresh Joshi. We are going to present the case of L&T for the crude metal case. So, first of all, we would like to go to the synopsis of whatever presentation we are making. First of all, we go to the case overview, the reasons for upgradation, why did L&T went with this project, the analysis of risk and the risk mitigation processes, the productivity analysis. In this we will analyze whatever data was given to us in the exhibits, then the financial analysis, and then we will go with the cost of bidding as required in the case. Case overview, as the three teams before us has already covered on the case, so I won't repeat the thing again. Just I will have a brief overview of the case. So it's a 4 into 72 megawatt hydropower project, and the case pertains to upgradation of existing penstock system. Since it's around 100 years old hydropower plant, so there are many factors which, due to which the power plant system needs the hydro system needs upgradation. Now the penstock, existing penstock, there are 2 penstocks of 2.3 kilometers and 6 penstocks which are after them, which are of 1.3 kilometers. The penstock which the L&T now proposing is a penstock which will be made under the existing thing, and it will be via the method of tunnel. Now moving to the next, this is the mapping of the whole presentation, so like we can identify in which process we are currently in. So now going to the next slide. Why upgradation? Why do we need to upgrade the existing system? There are many factors which are required for the upgradation of the old system. First, the reason is increasing maintenance cost. Since it's a 100-year-old system, so there are a lot of maintenance works which goes on in the old system. So a lot of cost is wasted in the older system. This actually encourages the client to go for the newer system, due to which the L&T has got the contract. Secondly, the increasing cost of security. Due to many miscreants and many localites, there are many thefts and all which happens in the existing system. Due to that also, they are encouraging it to make under that the threat is minimized. Thirdly, high friction losses from the water conductor system. Now, since the penstock system are very old, so there are high friction losses in the internal diameter of the. Due to these high losses, there is a significant amount of head loss which we need an upgradation. Now, coming to the last point, deterioration of the existing civil structure. The pedestals and the thrust blocks which are there in the existing system are say around 100 years old. So it is quite implicit that they all must have got worn, and with the passage of time they need replacement. So it's better to make underturnal system which will cover the losses of all these things. Moving on to the next slide, what are the risk management system the L&T people have identified and how have they responded to it? Coming first to the risk identification system, to the risk identification. Instead of explaining all this, I'll discuss the significance. What is the significance of these risks? Drilling of rock. Since it was basalt and the hardness of rock was very the hardness was very high. So the drilling, we are not sure how much to drill. However, due to proactive action of the L&T people, they increased the length of the drilling and also increased the number of blastings, which significantly reduced the cost on drilling. Secondly, removal of the mud from the tunnels. Since the tunnel was in 45 degrees, so it was a high risk job for the laborers to work over there. So the removal of mud from the tunnel has to be done the work pertained to the life of the employees, so it has to be done very carefully. So how did they mitigate it to it will be seen in the next slide. Third is the hydro test of the tunnel pipes. Since the penstock are the most critical portion of the hydro system, so the quality assurance is a very important factor. So hydro test is a must for all those kinds of pipes. So here, since previously welding and the hydro test was done through welding processes, so it took a lot of time and the accuracy of that was also not that good. Now coming to the fourth point, alignment of the pipes in the tunnel. What happens is, if the alignment is even, there is a misalignment of even half degree, then the misalignment snowballs significantly. The alignment of the pipes are limited. So it's very important that the drilling, they also increase the frequency of the blasting. This helps them to save a lot on the cost, which ultimately saves a lot on time as well as cost. Removal of the mud system and a headgear system was introduced, which helped in easy removal of the mud from the tunnel, and this ultimately saved a lot on the cost as well and then on the price. Hydro test in the tunnel pipes. Now what they did was, instead of using the welding system, they replaced it with rubber enclosures. This helped them in easy replacement of the enclosures, which increased their frequency of, which decreased the time of testing of the pipes, and this ultimately helped in increasing the cost, in decreasing the cost of the project. Alignment of the pipes in the tunnel. They used the concept of turntables in the pipes, due to which they were able to ensure that the accuracy of the alignment is correct. Backpacking of the concrete tunnels. The backpacking was done with the self-compacting concrete. This was also new technology which was used, and with the help of this, they ensured that the backpacking is done properly. Coming to the next part, the productivity analysis. We are given a lot of data on the productivity, so it's very implicit that we should have a very detailed analysis of how the productivity is actually done. So on the right side, we have the cumulative tunneling work. How did the tunneling work went? The green part shows the planned tunneling work, and the blue part shows how the actual tunneling work was there. On the right side, we have the fabrication details, in which the blue part again shows the planned fabrication work, and the red part shows the actual fabrication work. Here we see that if we take the average of all the cumulative tunneling work, we see that the actual tunneling work which they did per month increased by 1.76% than what they actually planned. This is a really factor which we should really appreciate, and which happened only because of the proactive action of L&T. Also looking at the fabrication details, we see that the per month the fabrication which was done was on an average was actually 5.53% more than it was planned. Coming to the next slide and analyzing the erection details. Analyzing in a similar fashion, we see that the actual erection was 16.95% more than what they actually planned per month on per month basis. But now looking in the labor deployment process, we see that the labor deployment process was around 37% less than what they actually planned. Say suppose they planned for deploying 100 employees per month, but they were actually 63 employees only per month. Here we see that many of the construction problems came in a very it was in an abrupt manner, so they had to take proactive action on that. Instead of doing that, they should analyze the entire process, and they should, before starting the project, they can analyze what can be the possible projects which have what are the possible problems which have come in similar kind of project, and then they should take steps to mitigate all those kind of problems. Second is the training of supervisors and crew. The laborers who are working over there, they should be trained properly, because ultimately those laborers are only going to work in the subsequent 2 or 3 years. So instead of just telling them what to do, they should also be told how to do it and why they are doing it. Thirdness is awareness about the details of the project. Coming in the similar line, the labor should be made aware of the project, what has to be done in the project, what is expected of just to labor working, and the number. These are are the average monthly value and the turning rejection was are in positive number. But the labor requirement it has a significantly negative number, which is 38%. From here, out of it, which will be taken in the later part by Suresh.
As we know that in the construction business, time is the money. So we cannot leave this aspect. And I'll walk you through the few assumptions which we have taken to calculate the present value of the project, of this particular project. First, a hydro project generally consists of 7 to 8 crore rupees per megawatt, as we can see many consultant reports on that, and we mentioned that the strategic consulting group. Apart from that, the CER's guidelines says that the O&M cost of a project is usually 2%. Apart from this, we assume that the water meter system consumes almost 40% of the operational maintenance cost. And the next assumption is the discounting factor is 13.1, which we assume for the calculation of the net present value of this project. So this is our methodology for financials. First, the cash flow which were given depending on the cost and the invoices raised in the exhibits. And the calculations. These projects which we have, which could have the same head and discharge project for Arunachal Pradesh, for the discharge of 8.5. This is coming around 38.7 crores. WPI of the and WPI of the because we had to go in 2002 from 2014. So these were the cash flow projections of inflow through the invoices raised, and these were the costs. So the net cash flow we reduced from it, and based on this we calculate the net present value. So this was the net present value actual, which was coming around 5 crores, which would add to the balance sheet of the L&T and which would eventually raise the price of share. And this is the 7.01 figure of the NPV anticipated, which we anticipated that would be which would be added to the balance sheet of L&T. But the one good thing which we noticed was the payback period. About 12 months was the actual payback period, and we deduced that it was supposed to be 14 months. So it was quite higher than what was actual. And these were the major costs involved. Pipes of fabrication and transportation, about 2 crores, silt flushing tunnel for 0.4, HR 33, surge shaft 2, and valve chamber 0.3. So total cost was 38 crores. And this is what we derived from the Italian hydrology project. And profit percentage we consider 15%, and this was our 15%. And these were the assumptions we for calculation of. Thank you.
Okay. Very good presentation. Good in terms of the financial analysis. But I want to go back to your slide. On the slide, application curve.
Aligning of the pipe is the biggest risk over here, because if the aligned, if we look at the technical side also, if the pipe is not aligned, the disalignment increases along the length of the pipe. So if it's a half degree misalignment over here, the angle increases. So it's a very critical thing needs to be covered up while erecting all these pipes. So that is one of the biggest risks associated with this.
The questions are over. But I need a small clarification. In the end, when you gave that cost, you are saying, originally you mentioned something 38.7 crores. And then you put some time parameter, and finally you said 44.5 crores.
Reduction to the building cost.
This is when this is time is not able. So you are bidding in 2014 and that.
No, 2002, so escalation factor has been used.
This is the cost in 2002.
Yeah, very well presented. In this slide, we have done a slide on cost of bidding. factor the cost of risk when you bid?
Contingent risks which we have taken into account are considered in the profit only. Which will result in roughly 2-3% of the total project cost.
So here we have taken a large margin of profit, and we have assumed that whatever risk happens, since it's very uncertain, so it's very difficult to predict what exact percentage of the project will be the actual risk. So we have taken a large portion of the profit, and we have assumed that the risk, if any risk happens in the project, that will be covered up in the profit itself.
But that's not a very scientific approach. See, you bid a project, so you bid more profit percentage to take care of all the risk. The output will be gain. See, unless you see, there are two projects in your way. Both you are getting 50% of in one project there is a huge risk, in another project there is a very small risk or very minor risk. So actually, having a risk, cost risk. In the bidding process, that's very important. Studying.
Bid for any of the projects, we are giving a technical specification to the client. So that technical specification, there are many factors in the technical specification from which we can estimate what percentage of risk can happen in the can attribute to the total project cost. Let's say, for example, the seismic region, if the project has to be installed in some area which is very seismic, which is a seismic zone. So the kind of riskiness of the project in that area increases. So these kind of factors the contractors should take into consideration while making the bid.
And you are part of the estimate. If you are doing a job which is in system zone 2 and system zone 4, your civil cost estimate will be accordingly done.
So the risk is considered in that only. Like if their system zone is more risky, so that they cover it with the costing.
And while choosing all projects, we discount all of the cash flows into the present value of net present value of the project. So we increase the discount rate for a risky project as the beta increases.
The vending to be done every time. Okay. So the time was also saved. Material management. We use material management practices. This is the basic operations part involved. During operations, they use some new innovative practices which was in the initial tunneling process should be taken as a and the source here was that they actually failed in the initial design, technical design part, and that actually was hampering their progress.
The testing was not done to properly. I didn't think that to properly the method composition had been taken.
So what do you call that? This pre-bid investigation.
Yes.
So preliminary investigation. So that was not a rescue.
So actually it happens due to this construction and blasting part of this project, and many a time with trial and error actually helps out a lot. In this case also someone came up with the idea and trial actually proved that it would be better to use a new method of drilling. So kind of, sir, I am from mining industry, so I had to go through the blasting. So I would say that this actually happens. We can't avoid this part, and it was a real good teamwork to avoid it and to use it and do it efficiently.
Also, strata differs from place to place. You need to take exact sample, like they are taking 50 meters below. As if the specimen from that point could not have been taken, or some issues were there.
Okay. Now question 2. Because you said you are from mining industry. Okay. With respect to this project, The client has decided to go underground.
Just settle on that.
When you go underground, how do you do the maintenance? Suppose you want to check, the installation is over, testing is over, commissioning is over. Now suddenly some crack somewhere has developed and you want to go and do the inspection.
So we have to do the conversibility analysis, and we should actually keep a model, signal model on the surface before. So that analysis of the model will result in this kind of simulation activity. So simulation should be practiced carefully and analytically.
Not simulation. Simulation will be a virtual environment. Okay. I am talking about the real environment. Where you talk so much about the turntable, no? Yes, it was through a vertical shaft. And the vertical shaft was left as it is. And that is the access even today for the inspection.
Last question. Because we actually mentioned that we said that the biggest risk according to us was the dumping process, because we could have lost a huge amount of time for which we could have been penalized by the customers.
And that saved us too much of labor cost also. Since we completed 6 months before schedule, it was saved on cost also.
Can you go back? Yeah, we have done a breakup under different heads, and finally coming up with the cost of the project, what and what,
So what we actually did, we presumed that most of the part in lost this particular project for L&T was related to labor. Rather than they didn't have to supply material was supplied by the customers. The project cost was mainly labor, and the second part was that they had to provide some tools and everything, the miscellaneous part. So we actually assumed that 50% of the total cost was related to labor and 40% we gave to the miscellaneous part. Now, when we decided that different labor saved at different stages, so we saved different fabrication and turning. Or the actual labor requirement which L&T predicted at start was around 11,000. And what they actually were able to do with it was around 6,700. Then we actually calculated the total cost which was coming up. You see that the actual cost coming up per labor was around 19,000 on an average. So we went back to the different stages, calculated the number of labor required for every stage. For fabrication, turning and erection. And each stage we mounted some labor cost there, amount of labor and 19,000 multiplied with each other. So this is the total cost of erection, fabrication and turning. And now they saved on that value. So on that saving value, we gave the value which L&T could have saved there, which was actually at the end of the day the profit for L&T. And when we added the profit which L&T was giving in this project, that was 6 crores and 50 lakhs according to us. And then we did it.
Yeah, so what I think is that finally what I have understood you were telling is that this whole cost, lower cost is due to labor.
Yes, sir.
That's what you were trying to say, correct? So, and L&T could have, which otherwise means that L&T would have made a profit, which is the difference to the price, 10 crore or so.
So, since the bid was L&T gave us at the start of the project, so according to us, they actually made this amount of profit. Actually, the labor cost which they climbed actually helped them make this amount of profit. L&T started with a target of around 15%. But at the end of the day, when every cost was, they actually made profit more than that. The profit. But at the end of the day, they used the turn actually considerably reduced the cost. That part actually improved their cost efficiency and made them so much profit.
And also while they were blasting the tunnel, at that time also they saved a lot of cost because the time required was less due to the change in structure and the depth to which they blasted.
If you could see
So is it a smart way of bidding? What happened? Is it a smart way of bidding?
so considering that L&T got the project and it was a smart way of bidding. L&T had the project, so they actually bid everything.
But there are many projects related to you also. It's the case we are discussing where I had one.
Yes.
Probably there was no smarter method.
L&T should have considered. There was a bit lacking in the process.
That's why I was asking that. Was it a smart bid?
No, sir. I think it should have been because they are able to save about one-third of their labor.
So if this would have been a smarter bid, what electric should have done?
They should have discussed among their team with new methods which innovation can come up, or they should have analyzed such projects from earlier done in different areas. So that could have given them an idea that different methods which could have been used and which were better than their processes which they were planning to use. They are planning to go for erection to vertical shaft. If they have analyzed better, then there would have been some case in there's a whole lot of places.
They have not done a good homework.
They have not done good homework.
Okay. Fine.
practices take place will come back up.
It will come back. It comes to
Must be
Thank you. Thank you for your fantastic presentations. It was seriously intensely fought and margin of victory is very, very small. The judges have, after a lot of hard deliberation, have come to the consensus as to our runners-up and our winners. We'll announce the runners-up first.
Let me say that, for us, it has been a fantastic experience. These 4-5 minutes, project reporting, some data sheets, very kind of days. The way you have worked on it is really super. So much of thinking has gone, so much of effort has gone in this work. The different perspectives that you have brought in, really is a learning process. I am very sincerely, it's a very, very fantastic job that you have done. It's a kind of a competition that is arranged somewhere in the farm. Finally, when we go with select one or two, so somebody will come one, somebody will come two. That's one part of it. But what that is really, really very, very good. And the identification of risk, the various ways that we have, suggested or identified or explained indications, the data analytics part generally across all the teams was very, very high. You have assumed something, and then you have come out with your, views. That has been very good. The quality of the presentation was very good. You communicated well, and most interestingly, the question answer session. Almost all of the answers that were given are very good, very good. Some of the questions that have come up, especially from are based on this case, which you have very aptly covered. I have tried to ask you some questions which is slightly out of this case, and it's really good that in such a split of a second you have thought something and come out with some logical answer for that. It's not very important that what answer you have given is right or wrong. Okay, but it's more important that the in just 5-10 seconds you are thinking something, coming out with a justification with an answer and justification. And so on. So I would suggest everybody to raise your hand. In our country, it's it's not a very natural kind of a thing. And more so in project. If you look into any global type risk management, you will see hundreds of cases of risk management all from financial services, banks, financial services. You will see very good from manufacturing and even from products. Okay. So when I was told to come here and when I got set up with things like that, I was wondering, what kind of a presentation we have. It was really amazing what kind of a work that all of us
We can come on stage. So our winners of the day is the team from IIM Expand.
Excuse me. Okay. Okay.
Oh yeah. Oh, there is one more. Why don't you come also this side? In the background.
And for our winners of the day, once again, thank you again everyone for your fantastic presentations. But we have this time up, and the winning team is from.
Pranam.